Hi, this is Matt from Milwaukee Record.
And I'm Kristin from As Goes, Wisconsin.
And this is... So, welcome to our inaugural episode. Like it says on the tin, we are going to be discussing things that are happening in Milwaukee, things that are happening in Wisconsin. And that's it. It's just the two of us chewing the fat, talking about the issues of the day. They could be political, they could not be political. It could be about music, could be about events, could be about COVID. It could not be about COVID. It could be about anything. Sound good to you, Kristin?
Sounds good to me. And we should say that while we have the same background, we are actually not in the same location.
This is a good point.
Once we both get vaccinated, as Wisconsin continues to lead the pack on getting people vaccinated, we will soon be in the Milwaukee Record Studios, bringing this to you every other week-ish.
Yeah, I think, every other week. We'll see. Makes sense, yeah. But for now, we're doing it virtually, so this is nice, even though that background really works. That really looks good.
I like it. I dig it. It's a good collage of all things Wisconsin.
Just random stuff, other than the flag, which I think is like the Reno city flag, which we have up as a joke because it looks very, very similar.
A lot, yeah. It looks a lot like the Milwaukee flag.
I think it's Reno. I don't know. I'll have to double check that. But
actually, I've yet to see the original Milwaukee flag, the one that got displaced. Is that up there somewhere?
We have it in our office. I'll put a big picture of it on screen right now. There it is. It's glorious. It's beautiful. It's weird. So what are we talking about today? I feel like this episode, our inaugural episode, even though we want to probably keep these to about 10, 15 minutes or so, enough happened in Milwaukee and Wisconsin in the last week that this first episode could be about 19 hours long. So yeah, I think we're gonna have to zero in on just a couple of things. What should we start off with?
So I feel like I want to talk about the sales tax, and because I feel like it's something that's a little complicated, but could help a lot of people. And so for some background for people who don't know. So Wisconsin's sales tax is 5.5%. And no city has anything that's above that. And so that leaves Milwaukee at being a city, like it's like the sixth out of like 115 of the country's largest cities. It has the sixth lowest sales tax. And so there's been in the last couple of years a commission of leaders, political people, business leaders, whatever, trying to pitch to the state government that for the ability to raise the sales tax by 1% and be able to raise more funds for the city, because we are getting pinched in a lot of different ways. And so Evers put that in his proposed budget for the next 2 years. And the party of local control, who for this entire pandemic has been talking about how health officials in cities should be the ones who are calling the shots, how school boards and everyone deciding, said dead on arrival. I think that was Voss's actual quote was, "This is dead on arrival, never going to happen." And it should be said that this wasn't like a mandate in the budget, if passed, saying, oh, if this passes, every city automatically can raise their sales tax. No, this just allows it to go to a vote of the residents. Like it still has to be popular in each city, but it leaves, right? Yeah. So it just leaves Milwaukee in this bind because over the last 10 years, the amount residents of Milwaukee County are paying into state taxes is like 500 million more than it was 10 years ago. And it's getting in state aid back like 144 million less. And so it's just like cutting and cutting and cutting. And so we complain about like the snow plowing and like the snow mounds and stuff like that. But like, there's just no money left. Like there's no money to do the things that cities have to do because we can't raise revenue in other ways besides just like high property taxes. And it's so frustrating that like, you can't have the city can't take care of itself because of these stupid laws of Wisconsin. I'm saying that like, you can't just vote on this on your own. You have to have permission from the state government. So that's my bitching for the day.
A couple of weeks ago, the Milwaukee County Executive, David Crowley, He gave a kind of state of the county address, and he talked about this, of course, and I'll just read a little of what he said. He said, as of the most recent data available, Milwaukee County's growth has resulted in Milwaukee County taxpayers sending an additional $569 million to the state in 2018 than almost a decade ago, while at the same time, the state returned $144 million less in state aids to Milwaukee County and its municipalities in 2017 than it did nearly a decade prior. A local sales tax would provide our residents a voice and an ability to vote for a tool that allows us to capture the benefits of our own economic performance to invest in local priorities while providing property tax relief. Despite these efforts, the growing cost of state mandates will continue to drive up our costs by another $320 million by 2038. Continued expenditure reductions are not sustainable. We can't cut our way out of this. In just 6 years, Milwaukee County will be forced to utilize all local tax dollars for state mandates, eliminating local funding for senior services, public safety, emergency services, disability services, bus routes, and roads, along with cultural amenities, including parks. I was really struck by the 6-year deadline on this. This isn't like, 20 years down the road. This isn't, not even 10 years, not 6 years. And I share your frustration too. It blows my mind. What is the rationale for Robin Voss and, as you said, the party of local control? What is the rationale for them saying this is dead on arrival? Why can we not do this?
I've been trying to find that because while I have my strong opinions, I also very much understand that my gut check sways liberal, right? And that I want to believe they're, and so I try to seek out actual rationale beyond just the headline or whatever. Yeah. And the only thing I can find is we're just the party that's against taxes. That's all I can find. And one of the assemblywomen who's from, I think Ashland or Bayview, I think she's from Ashland. She got caught. She made everything worse by basically in the committee where they were talking about this. He was well, why would your people, your own constituents don't want to do this? And she's well, they're not smart. And it's oh God, you're not making this any better for us. But she's also not from Milwaukee. So it's I don't know why there's no one on Milwaukee on that committee talking about this. And so it's from their stand, I think, but it's also I feel this feeds into moving back to Wisconsin. I was raised in Madison. I spent most of last year in central Wisconsin and Wisconsin Rapids, and now I live in Milwaukee. And that last year, even though it's it opened my eyes to how there's this rhetoric about Milwaukee, and Milwaukee is dangerous, and Milwaukee and Madison aren't real Wisconsin. And I feel this just plays into that of setting Milwaukee up to fail versus understanding that something 70% of Wisconsin's GDP comes from Milwaukee. It's it's insane of not wanting all rising tides raise all ships. And yet here we are of not letting our biggest and most diverse city set up its own ways to do better. It's unbelievable to me.
The good news is with the COVID relief bill, Milwaukee's getting a fair amount of money, which is great. It's I think it's the city of Milwaukee is $400 million and the Milwaukee County is $183 million. I don't know how they're going to decide what that's going to go to. And I don't know if that's just Barrett or the Common Council also has a say, but as far as recouping some of the costs, because I think people forget that not only was it COVID, but there was also the loss of the entire DNC that was supposed to bring so much money to Milwaukee that just didn't. And so we lost all the investments that were even happening for that, right? So it's hopefully that money can set us up a little bit better than it looks like we are right now.
Well, moving on to something kind of related. It's related to Milwaukee County, and something I realize I may have a slightly unpopular opinion about, perhaps, is Bradford Beach. Everyone loves Bradford Beach, and for the last, month or so, there's been a bit of controversy about a company that wants to put what would you call it? A kind of a modular bar / restaurant / dining area on the top level of the pavilion, the beach house down there at Bradford. This company, they're called the Dock LLC. They are from outside of Chicago. And I have no doubts that the fact that they're from the Chicago area plays a huge factor into people getting really bent out of shape about this. Because anytime it's mentioned, it's like, they're from Chicago. Anyway, they've been running the concessions down at Bradford Beach, the Dock LLC. They've been running it for a couple of years now, since 2019. And back in 2019, when whoever was running it before, I think it was the Surge Restaurant Group, perhaps, they bowed out. And the county put out a request for proposal for a new vendor to come into the beach house there on Bradford Beach and do the concessions and all of that. And exactly one company applied, and it was the Dock LLC. And so they got it. And so they've been running it pretty quietly, no complaints, nothing for a couple of years. They've sold burgers and fries and sodas and beer and stuff down on the lower level of the Pavilion Beach House. They've been running the cabana / tiki huts out on the beach. They've been taking care of all the volleyball that goes on down there. Terrific. Recently, they announced plans. They want to kind of expand that. They want to add a kind of fancier restaurant to the upper level of this pavilion, which I may add, no one ever hangs out on. It's always empty. There's always like 2 or 3 random picnic tables, and no one's sitting up there. It's just kind of this dead, weird space that no one really uses that much. They want to put some shipping container type bars and restaurants and removable seating, put it up there and have kind of sit down dining up there, slightly fancier than the burgers and fries downstairs. They've been kind of doing this for the past couple of years, but now they really want to like make it a thing. And at some point it became very, very, very controversial, and people and certain media outlets in town have been really flipping out about this. And I understand why. The lakefront and Bradford Beach, it's all protected under this public trust doctrine. It's the beach there is not actually owned by the city or the county or anyone. It's owned by us, the public. And that has to do with the fact that it used to be actual lake down there, and it's all like infill that was put in many, many years ago. And on. We'll have to ask John Gerda about that. He can fill you in on all the details. And so it's become very controversial. People thinking that this is going to exclude people, that, oh, this is, just fancy, overpriced food up there. It's going to be, you have to sit down you have to pay and be a paying customer to sit up there. This violates the public trust doctrine. It's not public land anymore. It's this private thing. On and on and on. Again, I love our public land. I love our county parks. I don't want to see them privatized in any way. I feel that this thing has been really blown out of proportion for a company that just wants to put some chairs and tables on this top deck and serve some food. I think they've gone back and forth with 19 different committees and meetings and everything. And I think they've kind of they've even said, like, okay, fine, you don't have to be a paying customer to sit up there. You can just sit up there if you want to. So that seems to me to kind of solve all the problems that a lot of people are bringing up. Like, okay, you can be up there. They're not going to kick you out if you're not ordering a steak or whatever the hell they're serving up there. I don't know. And yet people are still freaking out about this, and it just kind of has blown up. And I think it's just been way overblown. And again, this is an example of the county being absolutely strapped for cash, and these private partnerships with places like the Dock LLC. They're from Chicago, by the way. These help make these things like actually operate. They are like cleaning and operating that beach house. If they weren't there, I mean, you can say that no one would be there. I mean, no one applied to do this a couple of years ago. So like there'd be no one there, and it would be this kind of dead zone like Bradford Beach used to be many, many years ago. Like when I first moved here in the mid 90s, Bradford Beach was just like, no one went down there. It was just kind of, like I said, a dead zone. It's night and day. It's great now. It's, I think, a very diverse, very integrated, very accommodating place. And I just don't see a couple chairs and tables on this up deck really threatening that.
Because it's not even chairs, like, because I always think of like privatized beaches. Like, obviously growing up here, like privatized beaches, I think is less of a thing than it is in like Europe. Like the first time I ever went to France, like if you go to the Mediterranean, almost everything is like beach club, beach club, beach club, and you have to pay to even get a chair to sit on the sand. There's some public beaches, but a lot of the real estate on like the Mediterranean is private companies that you have to, and then you can pay to get your drinks and your champagne and your rosé and whatever. But in, you know, same thing in like LA or a lot of these places where it's like, that's a small amount of the area where it's like a private company. And so like whenever I think of a privatized beach, I think of like, oh, you have to literally pay to have a space on the sand and like, this is something that feels so different where it's like, oh, there's like one area that's not even, it's the building itself is on the beach, but we're just trying to offer another service to make going to the beach more pleasant. Like we're offering different types of food. So like, I can't play devil's advocate because I kind of agree with you that this seems like a slippery slope argument of, well, if this thing goes in, then it's going to be by proxy. People are going to feel not welcome because they can't afford to eat at this part, even though there's still affordable concessions downstairs.
Right downstairs. Yeah, I think that was.
And you can bring your own food to the beach?
You can always bring your own food to the beach. And apparently, like I said, they've kind of budged a little bit and said, fine, you can even sit upstairs in this area where we're going to have this private dining area and eat your own food. So I just don't see the problem. I should add, like, they've been running these like cabana tiki huts like for a couple of years, and companies before them have been running those for a couple of years. Those are literally on the beach. They're on the sand. And though I don't know if they would kick you out, I don't think I think it's kind of frowned upon if you would just walk up there and park yourself on one of the stools at one of these tiki huts and just sit there and not order a drink.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, that's literally on the beach. And I don't know, people getting all bent out of shape about all this pricey food. And it's like, have you been to the tiki huts? I mean, they're not giving those drinks away. I mean, you're paying $9 for a rum and Coke or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. So
it's basically like a Bud Light at a Brewers game.
So that is Bradford Beach. I know there are like 19 more meetings, probably as we're speaking right now, to discuss this. But I suppose we're running a little low on time, so we should wrap things up. Before we go, I was thinking of doing a recurring segment to kind of finish each episode out. And I assume this segment will be wildly popular. And it's one of those things too, where I think it could be about 19 hours long, just this segment. So it's a segment in which we just kind of lightly cover. We don't discuss in depth, but we just kind of check in with whatever the hell our senior senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson, has been up to this week. It's a little segment we like to call Mandatory Johnson.
I mean, I feel like since it's the first segment, it's like, how far back do we want to go? Because I feel like basically, I mean, we could go since 2016, that the stuff that he's just been a conspiracy theorist for a long time. But even in 2020 alone, it feels like every single week he's making national news, saying something outrageous. What are we going to do this week?
Yeah, I thought the most outrageous thing he would say recently was that he was not going to get the COVID vaccine, because he already had COVID. And so he's cool.
Science.
You would think that would be the most outrageous, stupid, inane thing that our senior senator from Wisconsin has done. Not true. He's been very busy since. Where do we begin? I guess it begins with a radio interview that he gave. Was it this week or 2 weeks ago, or what's time anymore? I don't even know.
I think it was over this weekend. I remember getting a very angry text from my mother being like, did you see what he said now?
He said, and I think I have some quotes here. I'll quote here from an MSNBC piece written by Charlie Sykes, by the way, which could spend 12 hours just talking about that. He says, in a radio interview this week, the senior senator from Wisconsin describes some of the very fine people who rallied on January 6th, that was the insurrection, as, quote, people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break the law. P.S. They murdered a cop. So he told host Joe Peggs he wasn't worried when they converged on the Capitol to block the counting of electoral votes. And here's where the real humdinger quote comes in. Quote from Ron Johnson: "Now, had the tables been turned, now Joe, this will get me in trouble. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned." So that was his quote. People called him a racist. People call that quote very, very racist. And now, ever since then, he's been on his "I'm Not a Racist" tour. And he's been mixing that up with cancel culture. This is like just such a great cocktail of Antifa and racism and not
it's all the buzzwords. Let's just play bingo on like conservative Trumper bingo. How many things can we throw out there to rile people up?
Yes. He I think, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, he ran a big thing in the Wall Street Journal saying, "I won't be silenced by the left." And
I would just say, if it means getting silenced to get an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, like I volunteer as tribute to be silenced so I can get a blog an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. That's really, really pushing you down.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm done with this Mickey Mouse website that I've been running. Like, I want to be silenced. Put me in the Wall Street Journal. Like, the world deserves to hear me. So that was our week of Ron Johnson. Anything else to add? I'm sure as we've been speaking, something else has bubbled up, but.
Yeah, probably. No, I love that he confused the word silence with criticized. It's like, it's two different things. Like, you clearly have a platform. Everyone's just being like, what you're saying is insane.
Yeah.
And stop it. You're embarrassing. Because
so there you go.
Although he did say if he decides to run, he'll definitely win.
That's
right. What I can't wait, because this would absolutely, if he runs, the amount of money that's going to flood in, the national money that's going to flood into this campaign, it's going to be like Beto and Ted Cruz. It's going to be insane, because he's made such an ass out of himself that there's so many people, like, I don't know if you see it, but I see it on like my social media and all my video posts and stuff. People who don't even live in Wisconsin being like, your senator's the worst. And it's like, I know.
Yeah. So there you go. Mandatory Johnson. Who knows what we'll be talking about next time? Well, Kristin, thank you so much for doing this. This is great. I feel like this is like our 7th time trying to get this off the ground. So it's finally great to finally do this. And for now, we'll be doing this virtually, but hopefully soon, when we're vaccinated and the world begins to get back to some semblance of normal, we'll be able to hang out.
Semblance of normal.
So,
yep, Milwaukee summer. Can't wait for it.
We'll see how it goes. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.